This week on Culture Q,
we celebrate the Dinah's 30th birthday in Palm Springs
and highlight LGBTQ news from around the world, including a big win in Switzerland.
Plus, musician Alsace Carcion brings us a first look at the Queer X Awards. Hey, I'm Shira Lazar.
And I'm your guest host, James Wallington. This is Culture Q.
And here are some highlights in queer culture this week. History was made at the Tony Awards this past Sunday as outplaywright Matthew Lopez became the first Latino to win for Best Play for The Inheritance. The play is based on the book Howard's End, which was written by 20th century novelist E.M. Forster. Lopez took the book and its very British exploration of class and made it queer and American, changing its cast of largely female characters into a multi-generational, largely male and gay cast dealing with the legacy of the AIDS epidemic in a changed New York City. And we're betting that Forster wouldn't mind the update. Forster was a closeted gay man who came out posthumously in 1971 with the publication of the novel Maurice, which featured a gay romance that he felt was unpublishable in his lifetime. Lopez referenced Forster's own story as inspiration in a New York Times article, writing, "I wanted to take my favorite novel and retell it in a way that its closeted author never felt free to do in his lifetime. I wanted to write a play that was true to my experience, my philosophy, my heart as a gay man who has enjoyed opportunities that were denied to Forster." In his acceptance speech, Lopez thanked 3 queer men in his life and also made an important point about his win.
This is the 74th Tony Awards, and yet I am only the first Latino writer to win in this category. I say that not to elicit your applause, but to highlight the fact that the Latino community is underrepresented in American theater, in New York theater, and most especially on Broadway. This must change.
In less happy news, actor Willie Garson, who's best known for playing Carrie Bradshaw's gay best friend, Stanford Blatch on Sex and the City, has passed away at the age of 57 from pancreatic cancer. The witty, sharply dressed talent manager Stanford had appeared in the original series and both movie spin-offs, getting married to his partner Anthony in the second film in a wedding officiated by Liza Minnelli. The actor who played Anthony, Mario Cantone, tweeted that he couldn't have had a more brilliant TV partner upon learning the news. Garson identified publicly as straight, but kept his sexuality to himself during the show's run to avoid causing any offense. He told Page Six just last year that he didn't want to be one of those people playing gay characters jumping up and down screaming that they're not gay, like that would somehow be a bad thing if they were. In addition to his Sex and the City role, Garson appeared in White Collar in more than 70 films, including There's Something About Mary, Fever Pitch, Groundhog Day, and Being John Malkovich. Garson was bringing back Stanford for the upcoming HBO reboot of Sex and the City, and Just Like That, which had just begun filming. And of course, best friend Carrie, aka Sarah Jessica Parker, posted a moving reflection of her own to Instagram. She shared that she will miss everything about Willie, replay their last moments together, and remember laughing late into the night as both Stanford and Carrie, and Willie and SJ. Garson never married, but did adopt a son, Nathan, who also honored his father on Instagram, expressing his love and gratitude. Nathan said, "I will always love you, but I think it's time for you to go on an adventure of your own. Rest in peace, Willie."
Another gay icon and longtime LGBTQ ally, Cassandra Peterson, aka Elvira, the Mistress of Darkness, has joined the family. She's come out, y'all. In her new memoir, Yours Cruelly, Elvira, Peterson revealed that she's been in a previously undisclosed 19-year relationship with another woman, Teresa T. Weirson. She shared that the relationship began when the two crossed paths at Hollywood's Gold's Gym. You know, as things happen in Hollywood, and she thought she'd found the bad boy of her dreams. That's when she went into the locker room and discovered the bad boy was actually a bad girl. A friendship between her and Weirson blossomed, and it eventually became romantic after Peterson ended a 25-year marriage with her manager, Mark Pearson. And that was surprising to Peterson because she had never been in love with a woman before. She writes, "I felt so confused. This just wasn't me. I was stunned that I'd been friends with her for so many years and never noticed our chemistry. I soon discovered that we connected sexually in a way I'd never experienced." Over the past 19 years, Wierson has taken on the role of Peterson's assistant, and they've kept their relationship quiet for fear that going public might hurt the Elvira brand. She wondered, would my fans hate me for not being what they expected me to be? In her memoir, she writes, "I'm very aware that there will be some who will be disappointed and maybe even angry, but I have to live with myself. And at this point in my life, I've got to be truthful about who I am." And we're so happy that she did just that. And guess what? Her fans were far from disappointed. Novelist Kristen Arnett tweeted, "Elvira is queer, God is real," as well as the self-reply, "Would like a time machine to inform 13-year-old closeted Kristen." This journalist tweeted, "Elvira really said, and in case you needed to hear it again, horror is queer." And I love this reminder as Halloween is coming up, which is one of my favorite holidays. So I'm thinking Elvira costume this year, that's the way to go.
I was unarmed, but they found the gun. I was educated, but they called me dumb. No autopsy was ever done. Police bullets resemble hit and run.
Musician Alsace Carcione does not hold back when it comes to her music and sharing her truth in it. And we are so excited to be dropping the exclusive news right here on Culture Q that Alsace will be one of 3 performers at the upcoming Queer X Awards right here on Revry. And she joins us now. Welcome, Alsace, to Culture Q.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you are a femc. I love that. What does that mean to you?
It's a name that irritates me, actually. Everybody wants to put us in this box, like females, lesbians, whatever. I'm an MC. Where I come from, you have to be able to spit. So there was not a femc or a MC, it was just MC. So they call me a femc to separate me from the guys, but femc just means female MC. But I'm so much more than that. As far as the hip hop community is concerned, it's still very much so the boys club. You have artists like Lil Nas X that's doing his thing for the LGBTQIA community. However, for the ladies, it's almost like we only get 4 or 5 of us that can be at the top of our game, that can be multimillionaires and be successful with this without having to sell sex. I hope it changes because it's much better when we're not focusing on what's between somebody's legs.
That is for sure, you said it. You're also known for your ad-libbing. I mean, watching some of your performances and videos, I'm blown away. How important is bringing your queer identity into your music?
It's highly important for me now. I strayed away from it so long because I was in this genre of music and hip hop where it was soul music, it was hip hop. So I was trying to say, don't look at what I lay with, look at what I lay down as far as music. And then I woke up one day and was like, I miss probably 5-10 years of a great career just because I didn't want to make somebody else uncomfortable. I am a lesbian, you're just not comfortable with listening to the music. You're gonna tell me I had a gay agenda. I grew up around all streets and I turned out the biggest dyke there is. And I know people don't like that word. I just want to be able to showcase that love is love. I want to show that just because I am more masculine of center, that I'm also soft too. I like to be held and cuddled and that type of thing. That's what I'm trying to convey and kind of change the narrative of it.
Also, congratulations because you are one of 3 performers for the Queer X Awards coming up on National Coming Out Day. Tell us more. What can we expect?
Oh man, it's an exciting moment for me. It's the release of Sickening, my first single in a while. It is a moment where I get to sell my message, and my message is that everybody can be sickening. We're coming out as the most sickening individuals, and those dancers, theaters. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.
You can see Alsace Carcione and so many more at the Queer X Awards on October 11th, National Coming Out Day, right here on Revry.
Wow, what a talent, and I'm so excited for that. Now let's see what's happening around the world in LGBTQ news. Switzerland voted for marriage equality in a national referendum. 64.1% of voters stepped up to approve a bill that was passed in December legalizing gay marriage, as well as access to sperm banks for lesbian couples. Switzerland's a pretty conservative country. They only extended the vote to all women in 1990. And despite the polls predicting a narrow win for marriage equality, the results were a solid win, so congrats. And we've got more good news coming out of Scotland. Groundbreaking, in fact. Scotland has become the very first country to require an LGBTQ curriculum in their classrooms. Schools will not only teach LGBTQ specific subjects and topics, but will also integrate inclusion into all learning. To facilitate this process, educators now have access to a website with an e-learning course that provides lesson plans and educational support materials. Lessons range from anti-discrimination exercises to math problems centered on things like kids trying to buy Father's Day cards for their two dads. Okay, I love that. And finally, in Poland, there might be an end in sight for Poland's so-called LGBT-free zones. 3 Polish regional councils voted to repeal motions declaring their provinces LGBT-free zones. Numerous local authorities in Poland declared themselves free of LGBT ideology in 2019. It was part of a conflict in the predominantly Catholic country between liberals and religious conservatives who saw the struggle for gay rights as a threat to traditional values. And that was a look around the world in LGBTQ news. Now, what's happening stateside, Shira?
Well, if you really want to know, in Texas, which keeps digging itself into a dark hole of discrimination, students are taking a stand. Hundreds of teens at MacArthur High School in Irving, Texas, walked out in protest after special stickers designating certain classrooms as LGBTQ safe spaces just disappeared. The educators sponsoring the Gay Straight Alliance Club at MacArthur had handed out the stickers to any teacher who felt comfortable having open discussions with LGBTQ students. When the stickers vanished from these classrooms and one of the teachers who co-sponsors the Gay Straight Alliance Club was suddenly absent from school, the students reacted. Here's teacher Rachel Stonecipher.
I was freaked. The kids were freaked out.
In addition to the walkout, Rachel and a bunch of other teachers sent a signed letter to the principal trying to get an explanation. And the school district replied. They released a statement emphasizing that they want all students to feel safe everywhere on campus and that all signs and stickers should be neutral as a result. Yeah, that's called a contradiction and an excuse. They also added this, that educators are prohibited from transmitting personal beliefs on political issues in the classroom. Yeah, protecting someone's life should not be deemed as personal or political. And as more LGBTQ students, specifically trans and non-binary youth, continue to be attacked in their own school environments and through legislation, the Trevor Project has released some unfortunate findings. The nonprofit has seen an increase in calls recently from trans and non-binary youth. In Texas specifically, around 4,000 trans and non-binary teens and children have called seeking support. That's 36% of the state's total calls. And even more alarming, they've seen a 150% increase in calls just this year alone. The Trevor Project's CEO and executive director, Amit Paley, told LGBTQ Nation that their, quote, crisis counselors have been hearing from transgender and non-binary youth in Texas who are scared and worried about anti-trans laws being debated in their state. And some have even expressed suicidal thoughts. For more information, or if you or someone you know needs support, just go to trevorproject.org. And finally, the Culture Q inspiration we all need right now. The biggest queer gathering after Pride is turning 30 on September 29th. The Dinah, aka the annual lesbian weekend in Palm Springs at Club Skirts, has definitely grown since it started as a one-night event of 1,500 people 30 years ago. Since then, regulars have returned year after year, and the original The L Word even dramatized the tradition in the show. These days, the Dinah attracts 15,000 attendees, big-name sponsors, and artists like Lady Gaga and Lizzo. And a lot of that popularity has to do with Mariah Hansen, the founder of the annual weekend, who has continued to produce the event over the years. Hansen describes the evolution of the Dinah as a personal journey, telling LA Weekly she was initially filled with hope and passion for the possibility to provide lesbians with a safe space. And decades later, she still feels that hope and passion. And she also emphasizes that the Dinah is not just a party, and that it might be an event primarily for Woman X, but it's always welcomed by everyone, regardless of how they identify. You can grab your tickets at thedinah.com or just block off your calendar for next year.
Love that.
Definitely. Well, guess what? That does it for Culture Q this week. Thank you so much, James, for filling in as a host today.
Thank you. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, we appreciate you and appreciate you for watching, as always, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, live and on demand only on Revry. We'll see you next week.